to get Troy on. He was in, and then I tagged him, and it jumped back out again. I don't know what happened, but he's texting me, so he's gonna join. He's gonna come back in. So if you see it, Harry, just
Yeah, he's stuck trying to join right now.
okay. That's what he said. Okay, that was a good conversation, Harry. That was a
This
good
was.
I enjoy these kinds of conversations because these women got it. This is a damn good book, and I think they have something really good right here to talk about poverty in the way that they do, and tell the truth about poverty is just a big deal. Um, uh, and not only just talk about it, but to give you some like solutions, and not solutions that require you to do like over the river and through the woods, but solutions that we all can just do in our everyday practical life. And if they put listen, this is my commitment. If they put a workbook together, I will command a small group of people, Harry, and tackle something, because I feel very strongly about
So
how
he
we.
so they have solutions.
Yeah, they have solutions in the book about how to tackle some of these problems. Particularly around. I mean, just and everything that they talk about, they offer a solution. You
Is
know,
it changing government policies?
it's a little bit of everything. I mean, there are some things that you can do that yes, of course, policy driven, but there are some things that you can just do in your community, that you can absolutely just help create and do without a whole lot of heavy lifting. So, you know, I mean, there's some things that we already know, but like mentoring works. We know that having mentors for children works. That doesn't require policy. That requires people committing some time after school, a few hours, to do just that. So when we hit a mid, or you did, okay.
Yep.
Good morning. How are you? I can't hear you.
I think he has to unmute, or
Oh,
he's
you have to. You unmute. You have to probably get closer to your microphone, or speak louder. You sound very quiet. I can't hear you. Man, that was a good conversation, Harry. So,
no. I mean, definitely. I need to actually read it too. So, because I just, in this day and age with government being so intrusive, I don't see how you get out of it. How you eliminate poverty, especially with government allowing businesses like Amazon and Google and these huge conglomerates just to get so huge. It's just like,
but yeah, but here's the thing, Harry. If you stay stuck on that, then it takes you away from using your mind and your talents for solutions that help people at the bottom
well,
rung. See,
well,
that's the thing. And we can walk and chew gum at the same time. So while there are people that are legislatively doing the things, there has to be people on the ground too that can do some things too. I have every faith in Gary Winfield and Robin Porter and a few other people who work in our Connecticut delegation. But at the same time, I also have faith in the Boys and Girls Clubs. I have faith in after school programming. I have faith in my sorority and what we do for our mentoring programs. I mean, I have faith in a lot of these things, and so we just have to sort of, don't get caught up in on some of these bigger things, thinking we're powerless. Because if we spend our time thinking we're powerless, then we'll stay stuck. So we have the power to do a great many things. Hey, Troy Johnson, how are you? Can you hear
Good
me now?
morning. Can you
Nice to
hear
see
me?
you. Yes,
All
we can hear
right.
you. I
All right,
love
good,
this
good, good.
background. Looks like a superhero. What is that?
This is part of the Tulsa, Oklahoma flag, state flag.
Oh, I did.
Yep, yep.
Oh, I did. That's right. You do live in Tulsa.
Yep, I am living in Tulsa. And yeah, I work out of a shared office space in literally on Black Wall Street. So the site of that massacre that took place almost 100 years ago. Um,
I love that you're there.
yeah,
Like, I just
yeah.
love that. Like, I want to figure out how I can have office space there from like Connecticut. I don't
Yeah.
know how that would work, but I just feel like, man, if I could just support
Well,
that in some kind of way.
actually, if you're serious, Tulsa, the city of Tulsa, along with a bunch of charitable foundations led by George Kaiser Family Foundation, are inviting people to move to Tulsa and giving everyone 10 grand to do it. So that's actually, yeah. So that's actually why I took some time to move to Tulsa, because of those incentives. And
do they have a good nightlife though? I need a good nightlife. They got museums, libraries, they got all those kinds of things.
Yeah, interestingly, most of the museums are open. So I visited,
I need
the
culture.
museums and culture. It's not as diverse as New York, obviously, but I guess the closest city that I can compare it to would be Austin. So it's like Austin, it's on the way to becoming like an Austin. So the downtown is bustling.
I could work with that.
There's there's a strong music scene. The food scene is great. So it's actually exceeded my expectations in a lot of ways. What was surprising, however, was I just didn't realize that the neighborhood of Greenwood was, it was just destroyed completely. I mean, there's one street left, and that's quickly gentrifying, and so it's difficult for Black entrepreneurs even to survive. It's effectively all gone. So that was a little disheartening to see that. But there are community leaders and local folks who are doing things to try to revitalize, and people like myself who are trying to, coming in and trying to contribute. But it's not easy. It's a challenge, So
listen, but anything worth having, is, I know I sometimes you want something in your life not to be a damn fight. I know, but or
yeah,
struggle.
That's the nature of life. It's a ongoing struggle. I have, I'm actually working with a couple of authors who have written books that speak directly to, if not directly to Black Wall Street Massacre, the Oklahoma in general. So Wade Hudson from Just Us Books. You may be familiar with Cheryl and Wade, who run that children's book company. They just are about to publish a book that deals with Boley, Oklahoma. So I'm hoping to be able to work with Boley. I know we're trying to get in a Zoom conference with the mayor going, because this children's book speaks to growing up in Boley. And it is one of, Oklahoma is known, or perhaps it's not known, but the reality is Oklahoma was the home to a lot of prosperous Black communities. Tulsa was just one, and it wasn't the first one. It was the most famous one because of the massacre, but there are a lot of historically black communities in Oklahoma, and Boley is one. I know Carol Boston Weatherford has also published a children's book that speaks to the Tulsa Race Massacre. So she's addressing that from the perspective of a child, or a book for children, which is as you might imagine, a tough subject to broach. But
and how do you tell that in a children's book? I wonder. Have you seen it? Did they let you see the mock-up?
I actually have. Maybe I can share my screen. No, I'm actually waiting for copies of those to come in. I've seen some of the internal images, but I haven't read the entire book. So they're supposed to be coming in any day, and I'll be speaking with a sister from the Greenwood Cultural Center, and hopefully come up with some ways of introducing that book in a bigger way to the local community.
Wow, you're doing some cool stuff, Troy Johnson. I appreciate that. I do. I'm living vicariously through you, because I just find that all fascinating. So,
Yeah, it's been an interesting place to jump off from. It's like, since I've been here, I've visited, I think I might have mentioned this before, but I visited Pyramid Books in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yeah, this is how we got on the conversation about touring the country by bookstores, like seeing America through all the Black bookstores, which we're gonna do.
So so 2 weeks ago, I was in New Orleans at the community book center.
I love New Orleans. It's such a sexy, dangerous city.
No, it's if you love to eat, if you love to party, it's And so
everybody's a musician. Everybody, I mean, it's just.
No, excuse me, I got to escape the cold. So it was, Oklahoma was brutally cold. I haven't experienced cold like that in maybe never. And I've been in the mountains of Vermont on a ski lift, and it was, below zero. But this was, I know it hit -16 one day,
Oh
most
my
consecutive
God.
days without going above
But
freezing, most
that's not how it
consecutive
usually
days
is. This
of
is just
snow.
because of
So and so when I got to New Orleans, it was in the upper 70s, so it was
happy
good.
man. You're like, I could wear a t-shirt.
All right.
Okay.
I cannot hear you for some reason.
Uh-oh. Oh
F,
no. Because I was getting ready to jump into the conversation about
hang on.
okay. Well,
All right, I
while
can't hear you.
Troy's trying to hear me and listen to me from Tulsa. Better? No?
All right, I lost your audio,
Okay.
and I don't know why.
All right. Okay. Well, this is Troy Johnson, founder
Let me
of the
take out these headphones and try the computer speaker.
Okay. This is Troy Johnson from the AALBC. This is his third appearance on my show because I wanted to, because when he left the last time, we started having this conversation about um, Black book clubs and book festivals and how the success of those things creates success for Black writers and Black authors. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can't hear you now.
Oh,
Can
I
you hear
can
me?
hear you. Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm just using a computer speaker. Um, so I was just talking about Community Book Center in New Orleans, and yeah, I'm looking forward to trying to figure out how we can do this national Black book tour. That sounds
I
like
think we should do it. I think it'd be
yeah,
so much fun. And we're gonna talk about this. We're gonna do it. I'm
yeah,
serious. I really think it'd be a good idea.
yeah.
And it'll be fun.
There are a wide variety of stores. They're all different. From little pop-ups to major stores to iconic old stores. I mean, I find I do that anyway, and so it's I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Oh
You know,
no, it'll be
just
fun. It's already fun.
yeah, and I hate I missed. There's a new store that just opened up in New Orleans called Baldwin and Company.
Oh, I
So
don't
it's
know
a
this one.
I didn't know it either. I just learned about it. It opened, I believe, in February,
Uh-huh.
and again, I hate I missed it. But next time I'm down there, I will check them out. Um, but yeah, art galleries. It's just a great place to. In a lot of ways, it has advantages over New York City because I was in an art gallery, um, in a magnificent space, huge, all Black art, and that really couldn't even exist in New York because real estate prices are so
Oh,
high,
yeah. Yeah.
high. All of the artists have been chased out of the island of Manhattan, and
Hmm.
they're in the outer boroughs and being pushed out of there as well. So there's no place where community artists can actually thrive in the city the way it once did. So the city is
Yeah. I mean, they can't even be in Harlem. I mean, Harlem is too
yeah,
pricey.
yeah. I had to I left home.
You had to leave Harlem.
Yeah. No, and it has so much potential because of the cultural legacy. But yeah, if it the last apartment I had, I sold a brownstone. I actually rented an apartment for 7 years. The rent went from 2,900 to
Oh my God.
3,700. It went up $100 every year, and I couldn't figure out how or why that could be done. But I understand that the idea is to just price people
You're
out.
paying $2,900 a month for rent?
Oh
Lord.
no, that was what I started with. But by the time I
Woo!
left, the last lease would have been 3,700.
Oh my
It went
God,
up.
Troy.
Yeah. No, so I
Oh my
mean, look,
God.
running a brownstone costs more than that. So it it's all relative. So that is. So yeah,
So,
if I want to do AOBC full time, do what I do, places like Tulsa are open. They're with open arms.
and they're throwing money at you to come,
Yeah.
which I think is such a good idea. It's
Well,
such a good idea.
you have your your listeners just go to Tulsa Remote. Just do a search for Tulsa Remote. It'll come right up. There are actually a number of cities across the country that are doing this type of thing. I
Like,
know there's one in Missouri. There's definitely one in the Shoals of Alabama.
I gotta
There's
go somewhere the weather is ideal. Like, see, I need ideal weather. I'm too old now to be. I mean, I live in Connecticut, which for me is ideal, except for the winters, right?
right.
And the winters can be hit or miss. This winter was unusually snowy,
Yeah.
and it hadn't been this snowy in a very long time.
Yeah.
But the spring into the summer and to the fall is glorious here. Like you
Yeah.
just,
Yep.
this is
Yep.
this is why I'm here, right? I'm from here. I love it. But as I'm aging, I need that more. I need that more all year round rather than,
Yeah.
that's why I'm trying to move
That's
to Costa Rica.
right. Well, there are quite a few people who have done that. I mean that's one reason why I moved to Florida. The Tulsa winter can be brutal, but it's short. I mean, today it'll be in the mid 70s.
Oh, see,
So
that's
it's
nice.
and 2 weeks ago it was minus 16.
Yeah.
So you can get dramatic swings like that. But
That's fine because I don't want to live in Costa Rica or Panama or wherever I'm thinking I'm going to live out of this country. I just need to be out of winter, so I can, if Tulsa summers are amazing or Tulsa springs and summers, that's fine. As long as I'm not there for the winter, I could be back
yeah,
in Costa
yeah,
Rica for the winters. You know what I mean? Like, so I
yeah,
could do that. So
yeah.
yeah. But
So
the last time you were here, we were starting to talk about the significance of book clubs and these Black book clubs that have elevated all these Black books and book festivals. And you had said something about how they really are quite lucrative and a good idea. So I wanted you to talk a little bit about that.
okay, so book clubs, book festivals. Which one would you like
Start
me to
with
start with?
the book club and then finish up with the book festival. Because my girlfriend has a book festival she started here, Elm City Lit Fest, that she started. It was supposed to be like a physical thing, but then it went virtual because COVID
Yeah,
disrupted
yeah,
everything. And it'll be virtual again this year in September. But it was so well received and so necessary that I just
yeah.
think it's a good idea.
Yeah, so the book clubs and actually book festivals, the better ones, they work synergistically. They work together, and they should. So, in fact, one book festival, the Austin African American Book Festival. Hopefully, I got that name right, but it's a book festival where there's a club called Folk Tales that partners with another organization, and they run this Black Book Festival in Austin every year. Of course, the pandemic has killed it last year, but I suspect they'll have it this year. A great community event, and it is in Austin, so there's a lot of stuff to do when you go to the festival. Um, it's held at a Black library, so smaller communities often have often can run festivals much more easily. There seems to be a lot more cooperation with the folks who live in the community and those who are organizing it, and very often they're the same people. I know
Yes,
I
yes.
work with the Go On Girl book club as an example.
Yes.
They they've been fantastic. They started out as a book club in New York City.
Hmm.
In fact, Linda Johnson, who's still a member, Monique Greenwood, who used to be an editor in
At
Essence.
Essence, she came just as I was leaving Essence.
Okay, so yeah, and
And she owns the inns. She owns
yeah, what are these things
the
called?
Aquaba.
Aquaba
Aquaba.
Mansion, yeah,
Yes.
the Aquaba
Which
Mansion in Brooklyn.
and
I've been
she
to.
had one in New Orleans too. I don't know. I think it got damaged during
Oh, really?
yes, and they
Okay.
had to let it go.
Yeah,
And
there's
she
one in
has Cape
DC,
May and
Cape May. Yeah,
yep.
yeah, yeah. So
Hmm.
I did see the one in Brooklyn and the one in Washington D.C.
Yep.
Uh,
I've stayed at the one in DC. Love it.
oh, the Langston Hughes room or the
Yes. I stayed at the very top because I have a thing for the they have the clawfoot tub in the room. So and then they had the
Oh,
skylight. So I stayed in that room above the Langston Hughes, Toni Morrison room,
sure,
which
sure.
is very beautiful, but
Uh,
something about that clogged tub that just
yeah, yeah.
spoke to me.
They all were nice properties. Yeah,
Yes.
I would recommend people using those. The but yeah, Go On Girl started out, just three women, and they had a single book club, and it's grown to, I want to say they got 40, at least 40 clubs across the country, uh, probably upwards of 500 members. So and they have partnered with AALBC in such a way that when their book club members buy books from their site that are on their reading list, and I highlight those books on the site. One, because they actually, they curate their list, and they look for a specific types of books each month. So there'll be international author, there'll be a mystery author, fiction, nonfiction. So it's a really nice list for people looking for good books. So I share those whenever they announce their reading list. I always publish those. So when people buy those books, however, I split the profit um, that I earn on those titles, and I contribute it to their scholarship fund.
Wow.
So they
Yes, that's what you said.
generate,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. I mean, it's win-win-win. There's no downside. And the fact that they reach out to support indie booksellers is just terrific, because obviously the more traffic and business I get, the better I'm able to support Black books and writers. And it's so they've been really instrumental. In fact, this year is their 30th anniversary. So
Really?
yeah, so they've been around 30 years.
Oh
If,
my
if it's not this year,
God.
it's next year. So but they've been around 30 years, going stronger than ever. They have an annual um, celebration. It moves to different cities, so it's been all over the country. It's taking place all over the country. They give out awards. They, host vendors, and I believe it might be limited to their members. But I've attended a couple of times. I've attended it a number of times over the years, and it's a great event. So, if any of your listeners have an interest in joining a book club or even starting a chapter, they will be open to it. And it's a
Well,
strong.
my girlfriend who runs the Elm City Lit Fest here, um, she started a book club. So I understand that synergy, and it has its own podcast, right? That they do every week, and they have authors. And it has been an amazing. I mean, it just seems like an amazing relationship that has come out of um, creating a lit festival, a book club, and now a podcast. It just seems like a natural
Yeah.
marriage of sorts.
So I need to really get in, tied, get tied.
It's on my list of events. The but what I would like to do is perhaps pull their book club list, add it to the site, and then it'll just give me another way of one promoting the good books that they've read, um, and promoting the festival as well. So yeah, that's what I do with folk tales, and I do a similar thing with Go On Girl, and there are a couple other book clubs whose list I publish as they provide me with that information. So one of the things that are on the site is a list of Black-owned book clubs, or book clubs who read primarily Black books.
Mm-hmm.
So, sometimes authors use it to try to, pitch books for their reading list to these clubs, and sometimes readers use it to look for a book club that they might join. So it's just another resource that AALBC provides. But I also manage a list of about 150 Black book events, and actually not all Black book events, but book festivals around the country. And I hope I have, if not all, certainly most of the ones that focus on Black books. And I visit those, and where I visit book clubs, I try to attend all of these events.
Really?
I shoot video and share information about those events. So once Elm City is held in the physical space, I will absolutely make every effort to get there. But yeah.
Oh, you must. I mean, we want you to come for the virtual too, like just log in for the virtual. But yeah, you got to come for the.
Okay.
You've
Love
spent. Have you ever
being
come
there.
to New Haven? You've been to New Haven for
Oh,
like a hot
cannot
minute,
hear you, Babz.
huh?
I
Uh
cannot
oh.
hear you,
Uh oh. Okay.
and I don't know what else to do. I'm already. Oh, now I hear you. Okay. Hello.
Yes, I hear you.
Okay, I guess I have to turn off my headphones next time. So my headphones stole the audio. Okay, so yeah, so festivals like the one in Connecticut. This one in Elm City is going to be where in Hartford?
No, New Haven.
New Haven. Okay, those are really important events as well. You know, one reason is that a lot of communities don't have access to the books that will be sold at these events. So it's often these book festivals are the only opportunity that people in that area will have to buy a lot of these titles. Certainly, one of the few opportunities that readers will have an opportunity to meet authors of books. So it's it's always good. That was one of the great things about the Harlem Book Festival.
Is that
You
still going on? Do they still do the Harlem Book Festival?
know,
It used to be one of my favorite things to come to.
yeah, it was the premier in its prime. It was the premier Black Book Festival. Full stop. End of story. I know the size of it has I haven't been to it in a few years myself, so I really can't speak to it. However, I do know the pandemic killed last year. They may have it this year. I know that Schaumburg also hosts a book festival,
Mhm.
and it's held pretty close to when the Harlem Book Festival was held. Um, but yeah, I haven't been to that one in quite a while. The Brooklyn Book Festival, which is specifically a Black Book Festival, they also host, however, a lot of Black writers, uh, and there's also increased focus on Black writers from outside the country. So that's also a good book festival that's held each year, at least in that area. Um, but if you look across the country, pretty much every state has their own uh, state festival. So Jackson, Mississippi hosts the Mississippi Book Festival, and you'll have scores of Black writers there. Austin hosts the Texas Book Festival. Again, just great
So
events.
are you seeing an increase in Black book festivals? Are you seeing an increase in that? And are Black authors, I mean, in your estimation, are they willing to participate and go to these festivals?
Yeah. So again, last year was obviously very challenging.
Yeah.
So in terms of looking at an increase, I think in the short term, we're probably going to see a decrease, just simply because, there's a lot of lost revenue, a lot of lost momentum. Some festivals were slated to start that last year. Others were, just beginning, and to have to stop and restart will pose some challenges. But what I have seen, however, is that some of the events like the National Black Book Club Conference, National Book Club Conference, which is held in Atlanta every year, does really well. It's open to everyone, but it's primarily for book clubs who read Black books. It's if you've gone more than once, it's like a family reunion because you meet tons of people, and it's just a terrific event. There, what else has I been to that's mostly Black? Yeah, in the last few years, I've been going to major events, like I said, the Texas Book Festival,
Hmm.
and they actually have a number of Black writers, so they're covered there. A festival I went to 2 years in a row, Sacramento Black Book Festival
In California.
in California. It's run by a couple of organizations, but primarily led by Blue Nile Press, that's run by
I know
Dave
Blue Nile
Copeland.
Press. Yeah.
Yeah, produce some terrific books. They and it's held in Oak Park, which is a historically Black neighborhood in Sacramento, and there's all of the venues are Black venues. So some of the events are held at the AKA House, which is in that neighborhood. The Black bookstore is Underground Books, run by Mother Rose, who's the mother of a professional basketball player, Kevin. He used to play for Sacramento. I can't call his name now, but it's just a terrific community event. And so I've done that. And what else? But they're all over the country, and they can definitely benefit by more support. One of the other things I was thinking about doing was doing a tour or hosting a tour with travelers who would be interested in doing these events. So in the South, during the winter months, that's when there are a lot of book festivals. You can go up and down the Gulf Coast and up the East Coast, and there are events, pretty much every week. Fort Myers, Tampa, Fort Lauderdale. The library in Fort Lauderdale hosts the book festival every year. The Fresh Book Festival, which was literally the last book festival I attended live, February of last year, almost a year ago, just over a year ago. They held it virtually this year, but it's in Daytona, Florida, and it too is a nice event. You can meet a wide variety of authors, and it's in a great.
So when you
location.
go to these book festivals, Troy, do you meet authors that you've never seen before? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
how often do you see authors that you just don't know?
All the time.
I mean, is the
Every single
universe
one.
that big? Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Wow.
I mean, it is that big, and yeah, I've met most of the authors I know through these events. So as an example, prior to the event, the Fresh Book Festival, I went to an event in Oxon Hill, Maryland, and I cannot recall the name, but it's it's a book festival in Oxon Hill, Maryland. It's held every year. I actually participated in it, but I met a number of authors there who I connected with, and some of those authors appeared in Daytona. So every event I go to, I meet new authors. Even events that I go to, that I've been to a number of times. And that's the great thing about these things. There are, when I hear someone say there aren't enough Black books being published, or I can't find a book on a particular subject, it's just because there have absolutely been a decrease in the number of platforms promoting Black books, and so as a result, these festivals don't get as much promotion as they would have in the past. There used to be a magazine, for example, called Black Issues Book Review, that covered events, well, you're familiar with it, but
yes, I remember that.
And they specifically dealt with books, but there were other publications that would touch on books. Emerge Magazine, for example, that was, perhaps, in my opinion, one of the premier magazines dealing with Black culture, specifically during its prime. But they would cover books. In fact, they covered AALBC. They wrote the only substantive article about my website. They did that in the 90s. So, when you think about Emerge and people like George Curry, who ran the magazine, losing those types of platforms is substantial. And so it's actually the reason why these events like that are important. Is exactly why, websites like AALBC, bookstores, anybody, what you're doing is crucially important to helping bolster and support Black arts, in particular books, and the writers of those books. So that's our biggest challenge. So as and we talked about this a little bit. The web is coalescing under the control of a handful of companies, literally a handful of companies basically own the web in terms of people's attention. And as a result, we don't have as many great websites as we used to. The ones that persist, I don't know how they persist. I know what I do, and I know what it takes. And to expect a pure bookseller to be able to do that is almost unrealistic. You need to hire people to do everything from the design to the social media marketing to the search engine optimization. All this stuff has nothing to do with books. But if you're going to have a book site, you have to be versed in these things. And over time, what's happened is, even though it's easier than ever to create a website, it's exceedingly difficult to get attention. So anytime, so I always encourage authors and publishers who say they support indie booksellers, they have to, promote these sellers in some form or some fashion. If an author says, someone asks an author, where can you buy my book? And they say, you can buy it at Amazon. And everybody knows you can buy books from Amazon, but I suggest some of these authors, mention their favorite bookseller.
Yeah.
Or particularly on their websites, when you link to, a place to buy the book, in addition to linking to Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Walmart, whoever, link to indie bookseller.
I like that.
That's an easy
and
thing
that's
to
what
do,
we aim to do.
It helps reinforce the fact that we exist. And two, there's implicit support saying, hey, I think enough of this entity to link to it and encourage you to buy from them.
All right. My producer is screaming at me
A lot of
because now I gotta go. But let me tell you what Troy and I are gonna try to do. I done looked him into this fantasy of let's see America through all the Black bookstores across the country. So we're gonna figure out a way how to do that.
All right. Yeah. If you like, we could, as soon as you're done with your broadcast today, we can have a conversation. I'm free to talk today if you like.
Yeah, that'd be good. I think I might be able to be free. I gotta be someplace at 1:00. So, but yeah. So thank you for coming on 3 times. I've talked to you more in the last few months than I have in the last decade. So I appreciate that. My producer is putting up my new little thing. So like showcasing my guests and yeah. So if you see yourself coming at you, that's because
I see that. It's cute. Nice pictures. Okay.
So yeah. So thank you so much, Troy, for being a good sport and coming on and letting me like stalk you and track you to find you, to get you on. And believe me, everybody, he will be back on again because there's more to talk about. But I told him I'd give him a little bit of break before I drag him on again. But I appreciate you because you really were very helpful in helping us understand independent booksellers and showcasing what you do and what other booksellers are trying to do. So thank you.
Right. Good.
Thank you. So yeah. So Tulsa.
All right.
I'll talk to you in a few minutes.
Hi, this is Babz Rawls-Ivy from New Haven, Connecticut, and you're listening to WNHHLP 103.5 FM, streaming live at newhavenindependent.org.